What's up, my NFT wizards? So today I'm going to be breaking down how you can get into projects like this, Quirkies, where you can see that it minted and listed at around 0.05 Ethereum, and now it's all the way up at 1.2 Ethereum. Now the real question people have is, how can I get in at the earliest stage? Now personally, I didn't start with this question. I started by asking myself, who are the top NFT traders of the last month or months? And I went and searched on Google, and if you've done the search yourself, you'll know there's a bunch of tools out there that show you the top whales and everything else like that, but nothing actually really shows you who are the best traders. You kind of have to find that information yourself. And so I managed to stumble upon a list of these traders, and I began studying a few of them, and I found something really interesting. And so today in this video, what I'm going to share with you is something that I found that one of these traders in particular was doing, and it helped me to buy in this project Quirkies at 0.05 ETH, the mint price, and I bought 10 of these on the mint day, the day that it minted. So I'm going to share with you that strategy that I found. So first off, what it did require is for me to have these alerts set up. So this guy here is actually the whale that I'm talking about today, Mementic Power. And what happened is that whenever these guys do anything, any of these whales here, I get a notification instantly on my computer, and I could choose whether or not to take action on it. Now, if you didn't know, you can actually set up these alerts on Icy Tools by going to set up new alert right here, and then just giving a name, putting in the wallet, and then they have a guide right here to set up it, so it messages you on Telegram. So I would highly recommend this. This was the first tool I used. I used it before NFT Nerds or anything else, and I managed to 3x my portfolio on a good week, which sounds ridiculous to say because I think my portfolio at the moment or the current time was about 3 ETH, and then I got it up to 9 ETH just in 1 week from doing this. The strategy isn't as lucrative now. And that's mainly because, the market, not every project is popping off, and a lot of projects I think are on hold until the market comes back. However, I think that it's a strategy that you could implement and choose to implement at any point in the future. Even now, there's projects that are profitable, although it's a little bit harder to implement. So one of the first projects that I looked at, because I didn't jump in straight away, I wasn't buying 10, 5, 1 NFTs straight away of whatever collection I saw the whales buying. I actually just watched them for a while. About 3 projects I watched what happened, and the long loss was the last project that I watched Mementic Power buy before I decided that I was going to get in on the next one. I kind of found a pattern that I thought was replicatable, and so I watched him buy the long lost at mint price. I think he minted about 10, and then he sold them all as it went up. And after that, I was ready to try it myself. I would recommend doing the same. I wouldn't be jumping in straight away, especially right now. There's a lot less projects that are profitable and a lot less that meet these same criteria. And so I might not actually getting into that many projects that are covered by this strategy at the moment. So let's go. Step 1. The first thing you need to do is basically get Icy Tools, or a NFT tool that allows you to see trending NFTs, and ideally also set alerts for trending NFTs, because not all of the trending NFT tools actually allow you to set alerts. So let's have a look at it really quick. If I go to the Discover tab, I can see here all the different time periods of all of the projects that are currently minting now, right? And what I did is I noticed that I wanted to look at 2 different time frames. Number 1, I wanted to look at a long time frame to see what projects were just slowly minting out over time. You can see here, there's a few here, they're zero cost projects, so I don't personally go into them. However, if we scroll down a bit, you can see this Voxelville official has minted around 5,000, and it's got a 7,000 total, which means that they probably finished their private sale and they're waiting to mint publicly, so that might be something that I look at. This one's a difficult one to get into because it's most likely going to be botted since it's quite popular. So this doesn't really cover the criteria that I'm looking at. What we're really looking for is projects that have minted a lot or are slowly minting out. So maybe this project here, the Cape Verse, or yeah, maybe this project here, the Cape Verse, which is, you can see it's slowly minting out over, remember this is a 6-hour time frame. And I'll just watch them. I'll just watch this over a period of time to see, is it continuing to mint? Now, what I have noticed, and this is really important, is that we don't want to be buying immediately. We don't want to be buying, oh, look, we see a slow minting project. We don't want to be buying at this stage, because I have found that a lot of these projects don't actually sell out. And so it'll be, if they don't sell out, it's very difficult to sell your NFT. Often you're selling for a big loss. So I wouldn't recommend buying until these projects hit around 50 to 70% sold. And generally after that, it's almost guaranteed that the project will mint out because it's had enough momentum to finish it. And that's kind of when the bots and the whales start to pick up the project, because basically what whales want is they want to be able to buy in large quantities of NFTs of projects that are going to be on the secondary market, because then they can control the price action a lot more. Whales, they're happy to hold long term, whereas traders or flippers are looking at the moment especially for short-term gains. Great. And then the other thing that I do is once I've had a look at the 6 hours and kind of know what projects are coming up, is that I go onto the 15-minute and the 5-minute discover, and I just basically leave my screen on here and just watch what's minting quickly. Because sometimes there are projects that mint out quite quickly, say in a few minutes or a few hours, and they do mint, and they're public mints, so you can actually get on board. And then one of the best things you can do is actually set up one of these minting alerts, so that when it exceeds a certain amount, you're at a certain time frame, you're notified directly. And so this will actually send me like a message on my computer. It'll pop up down here, so I can be doing other stuff, but as long as I've got this window open, it'll pop up. And this feature specifically is what has made me the biggest ROI, because most NFT discovery tools don't actually have this feature of having an alert pop up on your computer. It's different than a Discord alert. It's different than any other kind of alert. You need the pop-up, because sometimes these projects are minting out in 5 minutes, and you've got to remember that for some of them you've got to spend a few minutes actually making sure the project's not a scam. And so there's a very small time window you have actually to mint out the project. Great. So once I do have a project, what I will do is say if I found a project that's minting quickly or is minting slowly over time, then I'll vet the project before making a decision of whether to buy in. So the things we're really looking for, and it's honestly not very much. Here's the alerts right here. Because I set the 6-hour time frame, it's kind of just sent all of them. But if you have the 15-minute time frame, it'll do it accurately, or the 5-minute time frame, it'll do it accurately. So basically I'm looking for a project, and I'll go to one that I've already looked at before that looks quite good. So this Voxelville one, and you can see all of their links on Icy Tools. I'm just clicking through and I'm taking a look at the project, and basically what I'm looking for is I'm looking for NFTs that look good and really nothing else, because what I found is that as long as they look good, the team's okay. Like, I don't know if we can even look through these guys. Yeah, we can see the Twitter profiles. They've got 1,000 followers, whatever. It doesn't really seem to make a difference from what I found, at least. Like, mainly the biggest difference maker is how good the NFTs actually look. And so this is why it can actually be quite a dangerous strategy, because you have to very quickly vet and see whether or not the project is legit. And so although the NFTs themselves, like the images, are kind of going to dictate how well the project does, that I found at least, you're going to have to very quickly look through, like click through, find the team, see if there are actual people, have they got posts? Have they been posting, or are they just retweeting? What's happening? This guy's got a lot of retweets. Let's have a look at some of the other guys. Okay, seems to be posting. I mean, none of these guys are very popular, but this guy's followed by Fluff. That's a pretty good sign. But basically, you only have a few minutes, if seconds, to go through and look at this stuff and kind of decide whether or not it's a good project. And really the only way you can get good at doing that is by watching. So that's kind of why I recommend to just watch a few projects before before actually doing this strategy, because you need to get a good idea of what are scams or what are, what projects aren't going to mint out, what projects are going to do well, just by having a close look at their websites, having a close look at their profiles, their Discord channel. I'll go through all of these very, very quickly to get a rough idea of how a project feels. And if everything feels good, then that's when I'll mint. And usually there are two ways to mint. So one, there'll either be a mint button on the website. So it was probably right here for this one. And the other way is to mint via the contract. So you can actually go to Etherscan and go to the contract here and then write contract, then find the public mint, which is right here, and then mint it out. So I would learn how to do this if you don't know how to do it already. I'm not going to cover it right here. There's plenty of tutorials on how to publicly mint via Etherscan contract. You can just look up that phrase. So that leads us to the next stage of this breakdown. So now what we're doing is we're looking at the first couple of days of this project's cycle once it hits the secondary market. So what you'll notice is that once projects hit the secondary market, there is usually a supply shock where people that wanted to mint publicly or have just found the project can no longer mint. So let's just find another project that had this similar pattern. So this project, Icy Tools, right here, had a similar pattern. There's a whole bunch of them that had a similar pattern. But as you can see here, like here's the price section. It's a bit hard to see because this project has done so well, so that the graph looks quite big. But you can see that this around here is when the project went from public minting to the secondary market, like it's minted out. And you can see it's slowly climbing, 0.6, it goes all the way up to 0.9, 0.1, and this was just through the public mint. And then as hype kind of dies off a little bit before the reveal, it goes down a little bit. This is pretty normal. Usually, sometimes you also see it spike up a little bit before the reveal. However, on the reveal, you can see here that this project in particular did very well. So it revealed and then it didn't even have a dip, or had maybe a tiny little dip of people selling, but then it actually just went straight up, which is very rare to see. But I'll go over projects and what to look for, because this isn't always successful. You're not always going to get projects that are going to 2x, 3x, 4x on the first day or two. But there are patterns to look at and across similar projects. So let's just take a look at a few of the winners and see what to look out for when projects do well. So basically what my strategy is at the moment is to hold and then sell at 3 and 4x the price. I've seen that's projects are consistently reaching 3 or 4x in 2 days or so. And so that's what we're aiming for with these kind of projects. Another one that did a similar run was this one, which was Icy Tools. The difference between Icy Tools and Quickies was that this one actually revealed while it was minting. So this is the point where it actually finished minting and hit the secondary market only. And you can see same pattern, just goes straight up, which is very rare to see after a reveal. Usually you see a dip after reveal, but this one just goes straight up. And so basically this one minted out at 0.085, and I didn't actually buy into this one because I wasn't sure on it, but I should have. And so I would have looked to actually sell the majority of my set around here. Although I've showed you two projects that have just rocketed straight up past that 4x price, you are pretty safe selling most of yours at 4x across all of the projects that I've looked at. However, you could hold for longer if you wanted to increase your risk for a higher reward. And that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out right now, is like when I do that, and look for patterns when I can do that. But right now, 3 and 4x your mint price is pretty good. So let's just focus on that first. So great. So that's the projects that have done well. So what about the projects that don't do well? Like what happens when things don't work out? So let's have a look at this project, which is a project that didn't do well at all. However, the great thing about the strategy is that it's not a complete loss. So you can see here, this project, the Valkyries, actually minted out at 0.04 each. That was the public sale price. And it did look like it was going to trend upwards. It even had this quite a large spike. But what we could see, and this is where things differ, is that after reveal, we saw a dip, which is the difference between Quirkies and Degen Tunes. All of these projects that trend upwards, they all have good reveals. They have reveals that go up quite consistently afterwards. And so that's the pattern we're looking for. And in Valkyries, we did not see it. So as you can see here, even though it does have a dip and this was a bad project, we still have opportunity to sell at, either break-even price of 0.04. Remember, you probably have some rears in here. And it's up to you whether or not you hold through reveal. For these projects, I tend to hold through reveal. But if they do spike before reveal, then I can sell off as well. So another thing about these projects that differ from the larger projects that you might find is that with these projects specifically that are really cheap, we kind of want to hold through reveal because usually we buy multiple. And so there's a much higher chance that we get a rare if we hold through reveal. And say if things do go poorly, we still have a chance to sell our rare, sell off all of our NFTs during this period of time. This is a period over about 12 hours where we can see it's not trending upwards like the other good projects have. And so we've got plenty of time to sell. We can sell some of our rares as well and basically get out at break even or maybe at a 20% loss, which is completely fine. If we're going to be hitting projects that are 2, 3, 4xing, 20% loss is completely fine. So here was another project that didn't do too well. So we can see that it's basically break even until the reveal, and then it does trend upwards for a very short amount of time but then goes down. And so we can see very clearly that this was not a good project. With this one in particular, the time frame is quite short, so let's just have a look really quick. We did have some opportunity to sell at 2x, which we should be taking and selling some at 2x, but then the rest of our holdings, we can see it's trending downwards, and over a period of 4 hours to 8 hours, we're not seeing an upwards trend, which is a clear sign that that the project isn't going to do that great. I actually think this was pre-reveal, so actually let me just go to this spot here. So during the reveal, we can see trending downwards over a period of about 4 to 8 hours, which we now know isn't a good project. So we can actually sell, you see here, for higher than the price we minted, and so we're either breaking even or having a slight loss because of gas. So again, like, it's not too bad when the projects do fail. They don't just instantly drop to nothing. There is some volume still in the projects, and you can recoup some of your losses. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope I gave you guys a clear breakdown of how you can start implementing the strategy. Remember, first thing is to study and watch. Don't jump into these projects straight away. There are a lot of duds, and so you really need to be able to pick the good ones. And remember, we're not buying on the secondary market with this strategy. We're only minting and then watching what's happening on the secondary market. This is what reduces our losses the most. Anytime you're buying on the secondary, you're paying a lot of gas fees and you're having to sell out at a higher price in order to break even. And so we're avoiding that completely by being able to mint the project. Remember that the price targets that I'm personally aiming for, and I think you should aim for too, are 2, 3, and 4x. When the market's not as great, we're looking at going for 2 to 3x. When the market looks pretty good, we're looking for 2, 3, 4x. For some of these projects, you can hold for longer term. However, not all of them trend upwards like this. As an example, you can't really see it because the time frame's been gone too long. I can only go back 30 days on Icy Tools. However, this project here, you can see that it had its day. It went up to about 0.2 floor and it minted at 0.05, so 4x, and then it went down afterwards. So these projects aren't all just constantly trending upwards. And so you should have an exit, a point in which you exit. And remember that some projects, like this one in particular, mint out very, very slowly. So it's often a surprise when they hit the secondary market, which you can see right here, that they just absolutely rocket and take off. This project in particular, you can see it's actually been alive or minting. It was minting for about up to this point here, which is over a month. So you had a month in order to buy into this project. I was watching it the whole time, seeing it slowly mint, doing about like 80 to 200 mints a day, until it finally hit that 6,000, 7,000 mark. And then with this project in particular, this was the first project I went in really big on, and I bought about 25 of them. And as you can see here, as soon as it hits public sale, just rockets up, 0.08 mint. I'm selling here, sold some for 2x, sold for some for 3x, majority for 3x, holding the remainder as profit. I think half of them I was holding as profit, and then I was just watching, went all the way up to, I think, 4x, some point. I think it was here actually, went up to 4x. Yeah, it had a 0.4. Should have sold more here. That was my mistake. But, continued to trend. And then I was holding about 10 when it hit reveal. I thought this would do really well post-reveal, as the others have. But they did the reveal kind of weird, where they didn't release the metadata and no one wanted to buy or sell anything. I don't actually know the exact reason, but and then we got to this point, and I had mine listed because I was like a bit disappointed things were going down, and so I had mine listed for quite high because I had about a 0.4 price target, and so I had them around here, and then I was slowly decreasing the listings every day, and then this happened where I think FaZe Banks tweeted about them, and I actually sold the majority of mine at this point here around 0.25. So you never know what's going to happen with these projects. They're usually kind of hidden gems, and so really anything could happen. But really you should be looking at selling the majority for 4x, 5x, 3x, because why not? And then if you want to, you can hold on to a couple if you really believe in the project. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want me to cover anything next. What I'm looking at right now is actually trying to find patterns in the pumps and seeing if I can predict when things will actually trend further. However, I think that's really hard to predict. So right now I'm just happy with the 2, 3, 4x gains that we can get. And this strategy is still possible in this market that's currently downtrending. Degen Tunes didn't actually come out that long ago, 23rd of February or whatever, and it's just 24th of February, which is only 2 weeks ago, and it's just rocketing up. There's a few other projects that I've seen do the same, Dippies or whatever. There's a few of them, you can look at them up. Darcels or whatever that just came out as well did the same thing. I think Dippies and Darcels were a bit more popular to begin with, but there's plenty of projects that have had this and are still continuing to have this trend. One to watch at the moment that I'm looking at is this project here, Drug Receipts, which I bought a few, and you could see here basically the same thing happening. We're minted out, and then we're seeing an uptrend. Not sure if I'm going to hold this one through reveal just because it's trended so highly. However, I think I probably will because I'm a bit greedy. I could be selling here for 2x for majority, but I might look for a 3 or 4x with this one. So yeah, hopefully you guys learned something. Let me know if you have any questions, and all the best.